the cloud. Awesome. Good morning, everybody. I am Kimba Garcia, and I'm here with one of my favorite humans in the world, the Claudio with WinRate Consulting.
Ma'am, happy to be here.
Thank you. Likewise. I appreciate you taking some time this morning, Mike. I know you're a very schedule-orientated human, and I appreciate getting to be on the books today.
That is
he always laughs when I say that, but I mean it. He is. That's one of Mike's talents, is that he has the best time management and calendar keeping system of anybody I've ever seen in my life. So
I mean, it's the only way to stay ahead of not get the stress and anxiety of like the mounting to-do list. I have a strategy and system around that, and but I also run 3 businesses, it's time consuming. I have to orient myself, or I'll just be overwhelmed and completely consumed by the lack of productiveness. So it's very important.
And I'm sure anybody watching this that is a business owner can probably relate to that. Even if they're on company one, it's still that never-ending to-do list piles up. But I do want to get to know a little bit. I want to let I know a lot about you, actually, but I want everybody else to get to know a little bit about you. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do? What are your 3 companies?
Yep.
And all that kind of stuff.
Sure. So Mike Claudio, primarily WinRate Consulting. I'm a business coach primarily for home service providers, contractors, trades companies, specifically around sales, business development, and leadership. So I come in and help companies create systems, processes, talk tracks, accountability around change, social media, client management, sales process, kind of everything around growing a business from a business development, sales process, and then leadership skills, traits, and communication stuff that goes along with that. I also own WinRate Education, which is an online training company. It's something I partnered on with my videographer last year to create some online courses and things of that nature in order to just grow self-education, right? Self-education is growing. Huge plug here. If you're a contractor, how-tos and educational videos, both externally and internally, are massive value add. It helps differentiate you both from a client, but also from an employee perspective. Somebody saying, hey, this person takes video very seriously and helps educate me as an employee and invest time into my success will help you get better quality employees. So quick plug there. And then EC Grading. So I own a home demo and grading company. We tear houses down, flatten lots, take trees out. About 6 months into that's going very successfully, but first year type growth pains. But I really haven't even started trying growing that business yet, and we'll do multiple 6 figures in fourth quarter. So super happy with the progress there from something that was just an idea 6 months ago. So just when you have the right systems and processes, and what we're going to talk about today is shortening that failure gap and overcoming those hurdles, because this is not the first business I have grown or started or helped people grow. My success is coming a lot faster because I'm not making the same mistakes I made 5, 6, 7 years ago. I'm overcoming them. I'm strategically creating, checks and balances and thresholds so that I don't make the same mistakes. I'm able to get success a lot faster, which is definitely going to be the basis of our conversation / interview today, is the benefit in having somebody who's been through that already. So now I'm basically coaching my own business because I have employees, I have a partner, I have equipment managers, all these things that I'm able to come in with a better structure from the beginning, which is going to lead to faster success growth, both from a gross revenue, but then that net revenue, a lot less mistakes, a lot better pricing, a lot better client base, all the things that go into making a business successful. Is not just, I made $1 million. No, you sold $1 million. You probably made negative 100 grand. And that's the biggest misconception, I think, around business owners, especially small business owners. You see the person that says, I'm a multi-7-figure business, but you're also a multi-7-figure spender. So it doesn't mean that you're actually making money. So don't let that Instagram, that social media highlight reel dictate how you do you. Don't compare yourself to others. Just be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. Don't try and be somebody else, because you don't understand the problems they're going through, the issues, the pain points, the bleeding, all those things. Don't base yourself on everybody else.
I gotta back up to, I've really enjoyed actually getting to work with you over the last, what has it been, 9 months or so. We've partnered up in a social media course in a mastermind group, and it's been really cool to watch you transition what you teach everybody else into this new company of yours, and then to watch these practices take off so quickly. And that is what we wanted to talk to everybody in here about today. Whether you are brand new or whether your business is seasoned, we're going to be discussing some things right now that are going to bring you massive value. If you are a contractor, which I am, I own a roofing and construction company. I have personally taken Mike's course, Construction Selling, and even being as far into the game as I was, I got a lot of value out of that course, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it for any of you out there. If it helps you land one job, you have a return on your investment. That's a really awesome course that you guys have put out. So Mike, let's jump into it. So tell the people out there why they should hire, why should you hire a coach? I think we kind of skimmed the top of, skip some of the learning curves, be able to implement proper processes. But I definitely want to hear it from the horse's mouth. If you weren't a coach yourself and this was business one, season one, because there's a lot of people in our group and a lot of people that are going to be watching the YouTube that is the season that they're in. So why do we need a coach?
I think there's two primary reasons. I think the first is outside perspective. Like, take the experience out of it. You get into the blinders of running a business and you basically only see what you've experienced. Bringing somebody in that has an outside perspective, that has maybe different experiences or more experience, or maybe has gone through the growing pains you've been through, gives you an alternative point of view. And I will tell you, I bet 70 to 80% of what I teach my clients are things they thought of or have heard of, but didn't know how to implement into their business. And they were able to connect the dots from that thing they saw somewhere else and making it their own. So that brings me to the second point of having a coach, is accountability. As business owners, as salespeople, as leaders, all of that, the accountability side of not just starting to change, but holding yourself accountable to implementing it. Everybody on this call, everybody who watches this video has a list of incomplete things that probably would have changed the face of their business if they just would have seen it through. So one of the biggest things I bring my clients, because I talk to them every week, is the accountability of sustaining the change, because change is hard. Change comes with hurdles. Change comes with adjustments. Change comes with uncertainty and uncomfortability. But like, this is like my little like kind of hot topic right now, but to change, you have to get out of your comfort zone. So inherently, it's supposed to feel uncomfortable. And as humans, we chase comfort. So every time you get out of that comfort zone, your intuition is to pull you back in. Having a coach alongside of you, sometimes behind you, sometimes in front of you, who's been through those challenges, knows that feeling, that uncomfortableness, and can help talk you off the ledge to keep you on course, to keep you on pace. You cannot put a value on that. You know, you can, like, you've hired coaches, I've hired coaches, I have a coach, like, I'm constantly trying to get better. Well, I only know what I know. And I know that I don't know some things. I know I have blind spots. And if you don't know that, that is your biggest failure right now. That is your biggest limiting factor. If you sit there right now and like, nah, man, like the clients are the problem. Like nobody wants to spend money right now. I will tell you, I have just as many clients having their best year in business. Yeah. You know, up hundreds of % year over year. You know, I have a client right now that couldn't operate for an entire quarter, who's the #1 company in their region right now in gross sales.
Well, that's a great, like, right into my next question, because I was going to ask you if you could give us some examples of wins that you help your current clients or have helped your current clients achieve. One small thing, I should have said this before I asked that question, but I think you said something the other day that I loved. It was, you know, people hire a coach for sports and we hire coaches for all these different things. And for some reason, hiring a coach for our business to some people seems a little bit weird and out there. I'll be honest with you, it did me when I first started. I'm like, I don't know if I want that accountability, right? I don't know if I want somebody pushing me like that. But once I did it, what I realized is that even the smallest implementations of better processes, better systems, the things that I couldn't see being buried under the shit, a coach from that outside perspective could see, tweak, implement, plug in, and it was a game changer for that net of the company, because my revenue was up there 7 figures. My profit margins, even though we weren't going negative, they definitely were half of what they should have been. And it's been some of the smallest tweaks along the way that have been able to account for thousands of dollars in profit increases on that net, which is really what matters, not our gross, but our net of that revenue. So let's hear about a few ways that you've been able to help your current clients. And I know, because I'm in your groups, how many wins and successes that they've been able to see utilizing coaching.
Look, and I've been blessed with what I would consider really great success, because in a short amount of time, like this is my first full year full-time coaching. Like I've been vice presidents of businesses, like now I own a couple, but this is my first full year of full-time coaching. And I've helped over 100 businesses at this point, what between the mastermind groups and one-on-one coaching. And the difference that I think that, and there are great coaches out there, but not all build a personal relationship with their client base. And I feel like I've done a great job of that. So I think that's probably been the basis of most of the success that I've been able to have. So if I look at it from that perspective, what I've been able to do is come alongside my clients and work with them, as opposed to like, hey, this is my way, hope it works, what's the next problem?
Yeah.
Right? Like, or like, hey, like, oh, sales are down, well, you should probably go sell some more. Anything else today? I'm getting alongside these people. I get emotionally and I get, very involved with these people. And so some of the bigger successes I've seen, that one I was just talking about, it's a window coverings company in Long Island. They do like hard, like shutters and blinds and draperies, and like they're a multi-7-figure business. They literally could not operate for an entire quarter. Like New York State shut down. They could not operate. They could not meet with clients. I taught them how to do virtual consultations, their entire team. They did multiple 6 figures in sales during COVID because of that. They're going to be up year over year, even though they could not operate for an entire quarter.
Wow.
So like things like that, where like a business has a problem, they contact me and I work with them to solve that. So I don't really track the same type of stats that some other business owners or business coaches do. Like I don't know the percentage increase on profit margin. I don't know the amount of clients they did. But like I offer 100% money back guarantee. I have not had a single client ask for their money back. So I don't know how to measure that. And I don't have like specific, oh, my average client has 110% increase in revenue. No, I come in and help business owners feel more comfortable working on their business, not in their business, taking control of their life back, being in control of their business. These are intangibles. You can't measure somebody's enjoyment at work. There's a lot of business owners right now who make a ton of money who hate their lives. They hate what they do every day. They hate the grind. I come in and help create structure, processes, time management, communication, leadership. That's just like the intangibles. That doesn't count how I teach salespeople to be better, how I help to overcoming objections, social media, video content. All those things are very non-tangible. I'm not saying like, hey, what's your profit margin now? Let's measure this again in 6 months. No, it's I'm going to work every day to make you better, and it will get there. I don't have a set process. I don't have a set structure. I don't have like a system. Like they implemented my 6-step social media strategy and they got better. No, like I get in and I get granular. I get very, very small pieces, very small stepping stones. And over time that it grows into massive success for a lot of my clients.
And that, last time you were in Texas and we got to hang out in person, because for anybody that doesn't know, I'm located in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Mike is in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we have some miles between us, but he does come to Dallas every quarter. So we get to kick it every once in a while. And one of the things that I really loved that you said when we were meeting with a client together was that you aim to be an overhead to the business, but not a cost, right? So like a job cost, we have to pay for labor, we have to pay for office spaces. And so your coach should be built in to the overhead expense of the business with an expected ROI on the other end, because it is going to help you strengthen processes, get better at sales, do all those things. So that's the way that you have to look at it, is the cost of a coach is the same as the cost for marketing and for your own personal salary. It's a cost to the business, not something that would be throwing money away. So I really liked the way that you put that. Okay, so a lot of people out there, especially new people, right? Like the smaller people that are just getting started, they're probably thinking like, that sounds expensive, right? And so they think that it's expensive. Mike is actually I think I don't want to call you cheap by any means.
I undercharge. I for sure undercharge for the value I bring, and that's intentional.
Yes.
You know, and I'm in my first full year, right? So I can't come out here and be like the most expensive guy. I got to get the track record. I got to get that wake of success kind of thing going. But like, I also don't want to drown companies in the fear of the expense, right?
Yeah.
So for what I put in, I feel like I am fairly compensated. I believe I'm on the low end of the value I bring, but I still think I'm fairly compensated. But in the grand scheme of things, like, I don't care if I charged $1 million a month. If I brought you $2 million in value, I'm still worth it.
For sure.
Right.
No,
So like,
I
that's where I think a lot of
1000% agree.
people like struggle with analyzing investments, because they also don't sell based on value. Right.
Hmm.
There's a lot of business owners out there that like, oh, I'm only putting a couple hours into this. I don't think it's worth that amount, but like the value you bring is actually 3 to 4 times what you're charging, and you should be charging more. So if you look at it from a value in to value out, it's not just the amount of money I make people, it's also the amount of money I save people and the mistakes that they're not going to make. Right. Because like, I have
For
a
sure.
prospect right now, and I hope he's not watching. He might be. I'm not going to use it by name. Newer business, less than a year in business, got sold on a $10,000 a month radio ad. Like, that's a mistake. I could have charged him 3 times what I charge normally and saved him money. Right. Like,
Really? Yeah.
right. So like,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, it's sometimes it's the mistakes that you avoid making because of hiring the coach. But I'm not, for the newer people, I think one of the things we're going to talk about today is kind of the alternatives, which we might get to in a minute. But like, don't think you have to pay for it either. One of the biggest challenges in business is the ego that you think you can't share best practices with people around you. You're afraid to kind of like let people in. You'd be amazed at how many people in your marketplace that might be your competition that is willing to help you. Like, one of my clients is actually in Dallas. He's in Frisco. He's a remodeler. He's struggling with some of like the operational side of leading subs. To be fair, like, I don't help with that. Like, I can to an extent, but I was like, hey, I know there's other great contractors in that area. Why don't you call them and see if they would let you shadow them to see like how they do it? And they're like, oh, dude, no one would share that. I was like, have you asked? He's like,
Yeah.
no, they would never do that. I was like, do me the justice. Make 5 phone calls. He's shadowing 3 contractors next week and how they manage jobs, how they manage. So like, and that's not costing him anything.
Right.
Right. And like, those people were happy to help him, because everybody who's there has been where you are and
Yeah.
wishes they had that person.
Right.
Right. So not everybody, but there's a lot of people that want to be that person. So whether you're spending money on a coach or just soliciting advice from people who are where you'd like to be,
Hmm.
that will make your life so much better.
Yes. And so, but I did want to talk, that is a great alternative. And we talked about that before we actually came live, that we were kind of, you can go personal coaching, you can go, the free advice of just surrounding yourself with a really awesome network. And we always say our network is our net worth and our relationships are our revenue. And that's exactly why there's multiple contractors in my own market that are my literal competition that I am an open book with, because I have felt their pain and I've solved a lot of the problems that they're solving. And I'm like, I know they'll eventually get there anyway, so why not just save them the broken nose and the 2 black eyes that I incurred along the way? And so I think that that's great. But I've done private coaching. I'm part of many great networks. I have mentors now that I can call in my industry, and it's awesome. There's also a really nice, like, middle of the road option here, and I do that also. I'm actually part of 2 different mastermind groups right now, one of them being yours, the Winning Mindset, and then I'm part of another one that I do on Tuesday mornings. And man, every time we get on one of these calls, I get extreme value, and it blows my mind at the cost point on joining one of these like I said, I swing 2 of them,
Yeah.
because it's worth the time and it's definitely worth that investment. So I did want to bring everybody to the awareness in our networking lounge that you have a mastermind group that you coach. It's basically group coaching, and like, it's so cheap, it's almost free. Literally.
But here's the reason that I think people struggle with it is they don't understand the value in leveling up the network, the people that are around you, right? Good people know their value, right? Like, good people want to be around better people. Well, there's a
Right.
price of admission for that. The Winning Mindset's $97 a month. You get 4 live calls with me and the group and a Facebook group. And like, there's 40 something people in that group right now that help each other and dig in. I think there's even been some work transition between some of the people in the group.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen referrals happening.
So, but the reason that is that you are immediately seen as better, a higher value, a more trustworthy person because you paid to be there. Like if you take the time to invest in yourself, other people who are really good and have big value to bring will believe in you more because you're taking the step on your own. Right. And I've used this analogy a lot. And I think it's really true. If you're driving down the highway, and it's probably like it's drizzling out a little bit, and you see somebody on the side of the road with a flat tire. If that person's on the side of the road on their knees trying to change the tire on their own, you're significantly more likely to stop to help them because they're trying than someone just sitting there in their car waiting for AAA to show up.
Yeah.
Right? So that little bit of effort, that a little bit of cost, that little bit of I want to be better and I'm showing you how because I'm willing to pay the price of admission, no matter how small it might be, levels you up to be more trustworthy to other people. Because look, we've all been there. Like I know you've done it and you know I've done it. We're like, I'll go invest in somebody, give them my time, give them my effort, refer people to them, and they do nothing with it. That is a giant waste of my time, right? I love helping people if they'll do something with it. So I charge $97 a month to make sure that you're actually bought into making a change. I mean, hundreds of times ROI on that. Like we're 30 weeks in, 30 weeks of high level leadership mindset training for $97 a month.
It's
crazy. And I'm not selling the audience on this. I'm just saying like, there's a price of admission because guess what? That's one level. There are much higher levels of people that you're going to want to get around at some point. I spend tens of thousands of dollars a year on Masterminds to get in the room with the right people. And I'll tell you, I have got an ROI every single time.
I know I personally, because I get to know people in our mastermind group, there are multiple people that I sent 2 referrals to somebody yesterday that's in our mastermind group. And it's because we get to know each other as high performers, high levels, and then you feel comfortable sharing referrals with people that are in your network because you know that your referrals are going to be treated appropriately because these are the kind of people that buy in. These are the kind of people that show up. And we get to know that about each other, and it's really cool. So I've really enjoyed being a part of the Winning Mindset. I just so much value in that group. And if you are interested in joining, shoot one of us a message. We'll get you the hookup. All right, Mike. So we're getting to the end-ish of our interview here. Okay. So for all of our small businesses out there that are newbies, or newbie people, what's the biggest advice that you could give somebody that is year one, like you are in one of your businesses, year one? What advice would you give to them?
I mean, that's a tough question, right? Because there's so many different seasons. But I will tell you, the number one thing you can do as a business owner is own your time. Everybody's going to try and pull time from you, your employees, your subs, your clients. Everybody wants a little piece, right? And like not money, but just time. Hey, I got a quick question. You answer a quick question for me?
Quick question.
With this. Hey, so owning your time, because there's nobody accountable for your time but you. Like you're it. So there's no one to look over you and make sure that the little things got done throughout the week so that these big balls of wax don't build up. Like structuring your time, having time blocks to make sure that the little details get managed every week. It might create slower revenue growth, but it minimizes your risk profile by tenfold. Because if you scale like, oh my God, all these clients with no processes or systems, the bottom's going to fall out at some point. You've seen it. Like, I know you've had some years where you didn't make any money, even though you had multiple 7 figures in revenue because you did not have the systems and processes. The only way to build systems and processes is dedicate the time to do the right tasks every week. So if you're new, don't qualify out some people. Don't go run every sales call you get. Manage your employees on when they have access to you and when they don't. Manage when you're in the field and when you're in the office. You need to keep that consistent routine going for 2 reasons. 1, sanity for yourself. And 2, you can set better expectations with your ecosystem. If you know you do proposals on Thursday afternoon, a client calls in and says, hey, when can you get to this? Hey, I work on proposals on Thursday, as opposed to, hey, I'll get it to you as soon as possible. And then all those as soon as possibles live right here. You can't prioritize them. It's this giant stack of shit on your head, And it just
Yeah.
weighs and weighs and weighs. And the stress and the anxiety of knowing you have too much to do and not knowing where to start, that's your fault because you're not managing your time. You're not managing expectations. You're not owning the fact that you need to own your time and no one else can.
Yeah, I mean, we just can't preach that enough. Setting expectations on time. You know what? I have been in a situation, I just got to share this real quick. I've been in a situation 3 times this week where I've had to tell people, my renovations department is booked 3 months out. When are you looking to start this project? Because if they are expecting us to get out there today and give them a bid to start work tomorrow, this is not going to be, I'm not going to be a good fit. I will send you a referral. I will refer you out to somebody else in my network that is more available right now that will still do a really great job. So I love that. I hope that's one of the things that you had your pen and you wrote down. Prioritize your time. And Mike, I know you use multiple apps for this. Do you mind sharing an app or two just so we can leave them with something they can use?
I use Asana as my task manager. It's ASANA. There's an app, it's a website, it has all that. It's very great for managing tasks. And I use Fantastical is the calendar app that I use for no other reason. It's really easy to input stuff in and create reminders and all that kind of stuff. So those are the 2 main. I'll tell you this, I don't care what you use, stop using a notebook. Like, I don't care what it is, stop using a notebook. You need to be able to prioritize and plan things and schedule them appropriately. Even if it's just the reminders app on an iPhone or the task manager on an Android, like, stop using handwritten notes. I know someone right now is sitting at their desk with 3 different notebooks, 10 Post-it notes, and just lists everywhere. Stop. Put it organized, make it digital so you can take it with you, because it's impossible to keep up with that stuff when it's not organized digitally for yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not as structured of a person as Mike. I'm a little bit more woo with, I just kind of swim around in my day differently. But what I use, because this is so important, I do it too, but I actually use my watch. I mean, it's so, even when you're blowing and going, it's so eerie to be like, she's gonna talk. Hey Siri, remind me at 4 o'clock, I need to do this, that, and the other, right? And so
I think you even said that in your post. Like, if you even need to tell Siri to remind yourself about this live call today, like, you do use Siri all the time.
Oh, I do. She's literally my personal assistant. I use the shit out of Siri. And then I thank her for reminding me. I'm like, thanks, Siri. Appreciate that, girl. I use her like she's a real live assistant. Okay, so let's throw something out there, some advice for our seasoned business owners. These guys have been scaling, growing, and you get to a point, right? You get to a point where complacency may happen. How much bigger do I want to grow? Is it possible for me to grow bigger? Where should I stop? You know what? I just need a quarter to just get out of this shit for a minute. Because a lot of people, even though they've had their business for a long time, they're so stuck in the day-to-day grind that they lose the passion and the motivation. So I'm really interested to see what you would say to those people.
So I actually had this conversation with one of my clients this morning who is scaling pretty aggressively. And the bottom line is, everybody always complains about, I need better employees, right? We hear that all the time. I mean, you manage an obnoxious amount of people, so I'm sure you deal with it a lot, and turnover and that kind of stuff. And here's like the little thing I think is missed a lot, especially in the home service, trades, construction world, is the business owner still running and gunning so hard. You forget the fact that you are responsible for making your existing employee base better. Like, having better employees doesn't mean firing and hiring. Sometimes it means employee development. And so having a very specific structure around weekly team meetings, employee development, training, safety briefings, school, like tools and skill sets that they might need, outside training to bring somebody in for them. What got you here is not going to get you there. And I don't care how big or small you are, how great you think your employee base is, at some point, their current skill set's not going to get you to that next level. Don't forget, a massive part of your job as a leader owner is to skill develop and make your existing employee base better. If you get a year from now and you're still bitching about the fact that you don't have good enough employees, that's your fault, because you did not take the time to invest in your people on a consistent basis to hold them accountable. Skill development, safety, training, modernization, relative information to make them better at their jobs. Trust me, most employees want to be better. And most employees would have an incredibly different approach to their ethics and their morals and their work ethic if you just invested a little bit of time and effort into them. So I would say the biggest thing I see on a miss on a regular basis is people bitching about the labor force and how they can't find better employees. If you have employees and you don't have better employees, maybe you need to look at yourself. Maybe you need to figure out what you're not doing to help get them better. And if you don't know how to get them better, hire somebody to get them better, because they might be all you have access to. There may not be a better employee for that role out there, but you can make the people you have better if you just invest some time, maybe some money, but definitely effort on a consistent basis. And you will see massive buy-in from your team. The little bit of investment in them always, in my opinion and in my experience, shows a much larger buy-in on the back end.
I'm really glad that you chose that, because there was 100 answers for that one too, right? But this is something that I just feel on a very personal level. I feel like I went through this last year where we started the scaling process, and we were kind of at that point where it's like, and everybody can relate to this, why does so-and-so not do it like I do it? How come when I gave them the same task that I would have done, they didn't do it the way that I would have done it? And so I completely redeveloped everything from the way that I recruit and hire down to the copy that they read. I'm looking to attract somebody when I first post an ad to hire. I know who I'm looking for. The orientation, the onboarding process is a whole process in itself that does not get, they don't just get thrown out there. They get onboarded, they get, they get trained. And then another really powerful thing that I did, especially for my office staff, was write out their duties, their responsibilities, and we actually went through together and they signed off on it to make sure that they knew, understood, and felt comfortable performing those things. And what this does for you as a business owner is it makes you feel better when you have to fire somebody. Because by the time that I'm firing you,
because you did everything you could.
Everything I could. And you've agreed to the job duties. You've agreed that these are your responsibilities. You've told me that you know how to do them. I'm going to come back and say, hey, so-and-so problem happened. Do you need more training? And the thing is, by the time that you've poured into somebody and you have a workflow and you have duties and you have formal training in place, if you do have to replace that person, it's also not as big of a burden, because you have this great process outline and training outline, so that if you have to replace somebody, it's not, all of that wasn't living in the last person's head. You can more easily adapt and overcome. But I love that, because I've been through developing I've been down both roads. I have developed out employees that I wasn't happy with, and I empowered them to do their job as good as they wanted to do their job, and now they do. I've also had employees that were resistant to growth, were resistant to the development process. And at the end of that, it was a very easy cut, because I was able to sit down with them without emotions, without ego, and say, hey man, look, we went over, these are your duties. That attached to your salary are these responsibilities. And when I pay this money, I have to get this. It's very clear that you're unwilling or unable to do that. And so I need to find a better fit, and you need to find a better fit for something for you. And it doesn't give me stress as bad when I have to let somebody go. In fact, the last person that I let go was one of the easiest things I've ever done in my life. It was a candid, very straightforward conversation, and I went on with my day. The reason I was able to do that is because I've done exactly what you did. And another thing that I did kind of learn I learned it, I was feeling it the hard way. And then whenever I started getting formal coaching, I was able to get in front of it a lot easier and better. So also, I hope that that's something that you guys also wrote down, because just those two little pieces of information right there can and will change your business.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings.
And in stress. Oh my gosh, the stress that can come with managing people that you have no control over, or how they're going to behave, can be so stressful. Well, all right, Mike, I know we both have things to run and gun and do today, but I do want to let everybody know, will you please tell everybody how to connect with you if they're interested in coaching, interested in the mastermind group? But y'all feel free to just reach out to Mike to say hi. Mike loves getting bothered with meaningless messages all day long, so I encourage y'all to he loves to build relationships. He loves to answer questions. He's very passionate about small business owners and medium-sized business owners and all the business owners, just like I am. And so I know that he would love to have a conversation with you. So let him know how to do that.
So at WinRate Consulting on Instagram, it's WINRATE Consulting, like what's your win rate. Big Stud Sales is my podcast. I mean, that's a lot of great information there. If you like what you heard today, there's another 50 plus, 60 plus episodes there, depending on when you listen to this. And then Construction Selling is a Facebook group that I manage, that ton of great value there and pieces of information. But ultimately, shoot me a DM on Instagram is probably the best way to get to me. Or mike@winrateconsulting.com is my email address. If for some reason you don't have Instagram, get Instagram. But
I
mean,
Inking Wins course, so you know how to do Instagram and social media.
bottom line is that, and I think Kim would agree, and any of my clients who sees this, I'd love for you to comment below, because I care about my clients probably more than I should. And I get very emotionally involved and very emotionally invested in helping them be successful. And I think that's one of my biggest differentiating factors. Is it's not just coming into it Mike's way. It's Mike comes in side by side with you, works with you to make your business better, fixes your problems in the best way that you are able to, and helps you navigate those waters. And I love what I do. It's so much fun. I've had a massive impact on a lot of people's lives in a pretty short amount of time. And I'm super looking forward to seeing what the impact I can have on the industry over the next 5 to 10 years.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mike.
Thanks, Kimba.
I appreciate it. I'll be talking to you soon.
Awesome.
Say it.
You gotta win fast and
win often. We gotta do it better. One more time. That was practice. Come on.
win fast.
Win often. I am.